As a responsible person with growing concerns for your privacy and personal liberty, you want to know where we're headed and what you can do about it. We ask the experts what you need to do to take prudent and responsible action to safeguard your family's wealth and well-being, and what basic first steps will help you to be aware and prepared. ReluctantPreppers.com.
Welcome back, Reluctant Preppers. We have an important returning guest tonight. Jeff Clark, a senior precious metals analyst at goldsilver.com, has returned with us here on Reluctant Preppers to talk to us about some current trends that are dramatically affecting the supply-demand balance for gold and some of the unchanging, timeless properties of gold that imply its future demand will remain strong. Jeff, thank you for joining us again here on Reluctant Preppers.
It's great to be back with you, Dunnigan.
In your recent article that you published called Gold Supply is Guaranteed to Fail, Here's How You'll Be Impacted, you brought up the specter of some pretty sobering facts about major trends, multi-year trends that are, on a short-term basis, apparently irreversible in the gold discovery, development, mining, and investment markets. And wonder if you could tell us what is such a big deal here. We've heard the term peak gold before, and you kind of spelled it out a step at a time in your article. And can you talk to us about why this is an important trend that people who need to be aware of where gold is going will want to know?
Sure. It actually, sobering is a good way to put it, Dunnigan, because there's really little that can be done about what this reality that's staring us in the face, if you will. It's coming. It's going to happen. There's little that can be done to reverse it in the short to medium term. And it's going to have an impact on the supply-demand equation. I believe it's going to lead to a supply crunch. And I think it's going to have an impact on not just the price of gold, but the availability of gold. And a lot of people will dismiss this because they say the supply of gold is huge and it's not going down. In fact, it's going to grow. And you know what? That's true. The supply of above ground gold is huge. We are going to have more metal brought to the market this year from miners. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is new gold supply. The amount of new gold that's being dug up and is going to be brought to the supply for the world is going to go down. It's virtually guaranteed. I mean, every analyst has talked about this. Every analyst I've read has predicted this and predicts it's about to kick in either now or within the next year, and that it's going to last for years. Some of these predictions show it lasting 5 to 6 years. Others show it lasting at least 10 years. And you combine the fact that new gold supply is going to fall. It's going to go down with less metal available. And then at the same time, you have demand, which is staying high and could go easily much, much higher over the next few years if we have some type of crisis or there's inflation or any number of things that could come to fruition that are backed by the reasons we all own gold. And you have these things happening all at once, and the availability of bullion for the average Joe like you and I is going to be an issue. It's going to happen, and it's could have some sobering ramifications. So let me just go through it real quick, not to get too talkative here, but I've worked as a mining analyst, so I know a little bit about this. And basically, what's happened is it's very simple. A lot of companies, because of what happened to the gold price after 2011, we all know what happened. The gold price pretty much crashed. It's down roughly 40% from its high. Well, when the gold price was high, companies were spending lots of money looking for gold, digging it up, exploring for it and all that. Well, when the gold price crashed, all of a sudden they're making less money. The product you're selling is generating a lot less revenue because the price is a lot lower. So they had to cut back. Well, one of the easy places to cut back on is exploration. You still need to dig up gold so you can make money, but you can cut back on your expenses. And one of those expenses was exploration. And the amount of money that miners cut back on exploration was by about 2/3. They spent, roughly $4.5 billion 4 years ago looking for gold, the miners, and now they're spending about $1.5 billion. So it's down by 2/3. And so, of course, if you spend less money looking for gold, what do you get? Well, you get less gold. You're going to find less gold. You're going to dig up less gold. In fact, the amount of newly discovered gold ounces that have been found since 2006, over the past 10 years, has dropped by 85%. In 2006, we found 118 million ounces of gold. In 2016 numbers aren't out yet. In 2015, it wasn't even 20 million. It was like 18 million. So it's down by 85% just because of this factor of spending less money in looking for gold. And that's had an impact on reserves. So reserves is a legal definition of what a company can say they have. There are certain criteria that must be met, but the amount of gold that is in the reserve category by global miners is down 40% just since 2011. So this is the amount of gold that's available to be dug up and brought to the market for you and I to buy a gold eagle is going to go down. There's going to be less metal that's going to be available to be made into all the different things that we use gold for, including buying a gold eagle. And there's other issues going on too in the production world. They're doing things like high grading. So when I visit a mine site, I've seen high grade veins and low grade veins.
Sure.
And what a lot of companies will do is they'll combine the ore from both the high grade and low grade portions, so they have a very consistent grade going through the mill, and so that way analysts and investors know what to expect as coming out the other end, how much gold's going to come out the other end. Well, when the gold price plummeted, one way they could still make money was to mine just the high grade portion of their deposits. So that's what a lot of them did, and they left the low grade ore behind. Well, you think, well, when the gold price goes up, they can go back and get it. Well, no, not really, because that low-grade ore was really only economic with the high-grade stuff. You had to combine them to make it really economic. So even if gold goes back up to 1,500, 1,800, back to where it was at 1,900, a lot of these companies are going to be very reluctant to go back and try to dig up the low-grade stuff, because the gold price is not going to just have to be high. It's going to have to be high, and there's going to have to be a belief among the community that it's going to stay high. It's going to have to sustain that price level before the management teams are going to spend a lot of money to go back and get that low grade stuff. So anyway, you add all this up, and the bottom line is that mine production in the gold mining industry is peaking. And again, I'm referring to not total supply, but to new mine supply. Any way you look at it, it's really coming to a peak. The only disagreement among analysts is when all this really kicks in. Is it this year? Is it next year? There's no if about it. It's a when question. And then, how long does it last? It's going to last for years, at a minimum 5 to 6 years. That's the lowest decline estimate in the decline of mine production that I've seen. Some think it'll last a lot longer. So obviously this is going to have ramifications. If there's a supply crunch of new gold coming to market, well, you're going to have less gold. And if demand stays at the level it's at, or it goes higher if we have some type of crisis or inflation, well, the availability of metal is really going to be in some type of crunch scenario. The price could be, forced up alone by this fact. Bullion could be, difficult to get your hands on. It could be much more expensive. Premiums will be higher. Rationing could even be a possibility. So this isn't something that's going to happen tomorrow. But the reality of lower gold production and lower supply, new supply coming to the market is coming. It's an inescapable fact, and it is inevitable. And I hate to use words like that, but it's coming. The only issue is going to be, is demand stay high enough, or does demand fall? Because if demand falls when supply falls, then there's really not going to be a big issue. It's if demand stays where it's at or goes higher, that's where we could really run into an issue.
You also addressed a potential objection that some viewers might have about the new gold production being just basically a delta on top of the base of existing above ground gold available for investment. But you had some fairly specific replies to that objection when you're looking at the change in the gold. The new gold that's being discovered and developed, but what about all that existing gold that's available already for investment?
Right, and that's a fair objection, and a lot of people, even in the industry, will write back to me and say, "Hey, Jeff, supply is not going to go down. Supply is going to go up. All that gold that's above ground is still here," and they're right. It's still here. There's a lot of it. It doesn't go away, and we are going to have new supply come to market. It's going to go up by, let's say, an average of 2% a year. Now it's only going to go up by 1.5% a year, but it's still going to go up. Well, the reality is all of that is true, but when it comes to you and I being able to buy a gold eagle, like I was pointing out, that above ground gold supply information doesn't really do us any good, because that gold's not really available. I mean, are you going to tear down the Sistine Chapel so that we can melt down that gold to remake into eagles? Are we going to suddenly reduce how many computers and cell phones that we manufacture? Are you going to dig up a corpse in the graveyard so that you can pull out the old teeth? No, we're not going to do that. When you and I buy a gold eagle, 9 times out of 10, it's a new issue. It's a 2017, and the 2017s, by the way, are out now at goldsilver.com. We got them, so you can buy the new ones now. But when you buy a brand new one, that metal, that gold is coming from newly mined gold. It's not coming from this above ground stock that a lot of these people like to refer to. It's coming from the new mining. So if new mining goes down, then obviously there's going to be less metal that can be made into these kinds of things. And if demand goes up at the same time, getting that new gold coin might be harder, or you might have to pay more for it, or something like that.
I have to raise the following question just on behalf, because somebody else, if I don't, they're going to bring it up in the comments. So let's just take care of it right away. And that is people saying if you're laying out the position that the peak gold has passed, the development and discovery are down, and therefore the new supply of gold is dwindling. The supply of new gold is dwindling. Then why would you be a seller of gold? Gold, silver. You work for Gold Silver. They're a gold bullion dealer. Why would they be selling something that's going to be increasing in value in the future? I know you know the answer. I'm just bringing it out there just so you can respond to it.
Well, I do work for a bullion dealer. We're not going to go out of business. There will be bullion that can be sold, and there will be bullion that can be bought. We can also buy bullion back from people. We also have other products like gold jewelry and things like that. But the reality is that it doesn't remove us from what's coming, and that is some type of crunch where it's increasingly more difficult to get. It's not that we won't have metal, it's that we won't maybe have as much compared to the demand that we think is coming for metal. So we're still going to be selling metal. We're not going to run out. But what I'm talking about is a crunch where it's increasingly more difficult to get, or it's more expensive for you to buy. So the price might be $2,000, but the premium on it might go from 5% to 10%, or maybe it goes to 20% or 50%. In 2009, the premium on the most common silver products was as high as 90%. So that's what I'm referring to. When a crunch comes, it affects everybody and everything. And sure, it could affect our business. But all of this tells you that someone should be buying more metal now and not waiting.
If we could shift our attention now from the potential gold supply shortage to some of its unchanging and intrinsic properties that make it perennially valuable and sought after, especially in times of uncertainty and turmoil. A lot of our experienced subscribers are already well versed in this. For people who are newcomers and haven't heard kind of the rundown, you've got a very compelling list of gold intrinsic properties in your Gold New Year's message. And if you could hit us with some of those attributes that give you power if you are a holder of gold, and why gold has been so valued throughout history.
I'm glad you brought it up because it's a really good question. I had someone write to me and say, look, I'm getting tired of waiting. I thought the price would be $2,000 by now or higher or whatever. They were getting a little frustrated. And I said, look, the price will get there. Just hold on to it. The price is going to get there in time. There's risks in the financial system now that's going to happen sooner or later. But remember, you're not just buying gold because it might go up in price. That's one reason we buy it, because we think there's going to be a wealth transfer. But there's so many other attributes you have with gold that you don't have with almost any other investment. First of all, it's a tangible asset. You can hold it in your hand. You can't do that with a stock certificate. It can't be destroyed by fire, water, or even time. Gold has no counterparty risk. There's no paper contract to make it good. There's no middleman or anything like that. Gold is highly liquid. You can sell it almost anywhere in the world. Almost any dealer in the world will recognize a gold eagle and will buy it from you. It's a store of value. It's been around for 3,000 years. Its value is going to be, it's going to hold its value much better in inflation than almost anything else. Gold can't be hacked or erased. If all your wealth is in the digital form today, how wise is that? Do you want some maybe outside of a digital form? Well, you can hold physical gold, and it can't be hacked or erased from you. Gold's very value dense, so you can store it very easily. You can hold $50,000 of gold right in the palm of your hand. It's private, it's confidential. I mean, you can't say that about many investments in today's world. If you want a little privacy or confidentiality, and this is not a tax statement, if you make profit on your gold, you have to pay taxes on it. But if you want a little privacy or confidentiality, boom, physical gold and silver, that can do that for you. There's no specialized knowledge required. You don't have to, be an expert on collecting or an expert on real estate or anything like that. Just buy some gold eagles and off you go, and you got a great start. It's very portable. You can take it with you literally anywhere in the world, especially if you have it in jewelry form. You could wear it around your neck. It comes with low maintenance and carrying costs. It doesn't take a lot of money to store it. It doesn't have the headaches of real estate or anything like that. It's simple and easy. It can also protect you against all kinds of things: inflation, deflation, bank account freezes and bank bail-ins, even some type of capital control where money can't leave the borders or something like that. Well, you can store some physical gold in another jurisdiction internationally. It can even protect you from that. So any type of crisis, it's going to be there for you. It's a great hedge against the stock market. So when you think about all the advantages that holdings of gold and silver have, beyond just the fact that its price can rise, and we're pretty convinced that it will, wow, that's a great investment. There's a lot that physical gold and silver can really offer you that almost any other investment cannot do. If we could
address one more topic that which we haven't addressed with you in the past, and that is people's concern about storage of gold. A lot of people who we've talked with for the first time about buying gold aren't familiar with how to do that because it's not something that's really commonplace. It's certainly not something we're taught growing up in this economic culture. But once they contemplate buying gold, one of the next concerns is the realization, I'm going to have something of great value. Where am I going to put it and keep it safe? As gold is working to keep me safe, how am I going to keep my gold safe? So could you talk to us about some primary considerations people should keep in mind when deciding how to best hold on to their gold? And is there more than one answer to that question?
Yeah, that's very good. That's a good point, because I think the answer, just to cut to the chase, is you really should diversify where you hold your gold once you start accumulating more than, just a few ounces. So once you start getting a little stash going, whether it's gold or silver or a combination of both, it's really not wise to keep it all in your home or put it all in a safe or keep it all in a safe deposit box or store some international, keep it all out of the country. All of those are good ideas and things that you should do, but the answer is where you should store it is all of them. Once you start accumulating more and more, you don't want to keep it all in one place, so that if something happens to that one particular location where it's at, you're wiped out. That's what you want to try and avoid. So you don't want to keep it all in a safe deposit box, because you're one reason to hold gold is to insure against the banking system. And so while it's cheap and convenient and easy to put some in a safe deposit box, that's a good idea for lots of people. Don't keep all of it there. Likewise, you don't want to keep all of it in your home. Theft, fire, all of those things are all risks. Somebody else finding it. I can tell you lots of horror stories of people who stored gold at home in a safe even. And somebody found out it was in there. And my father even knew someone whose gold was stored in a safe, and the guy kind of bragged about it, and it was a very good safe until a thief showed up with another thief, and they had weapons, and they forced him to open it while his wife stood there. So it was not a pleasant story, and I won't go into details, but this is someone my father knew. So you don't want to keep it all in your home. I think keeping some of it close by, easily accessible, instantly accessible. That's what physical gold. That's one reason you have physical gold, so you can instantly get to it and use it if you need to. But keeping it all in your home kind of, puts that at high risk. So I think you should have some stored internationally in case there is some kind of issue with, wherever you live politically. You want to have some out of that jurisdiction. And then you can get other creative ways. Just you want to keep it simple, but the golden rule of storage, of course, is you only tell one other confidant. So only one other person really should know where your gold is stored at and have access to it, or that means a key or a combination or just knowledge of where it's at or something like that. But you really want to keep it to just one other person. As soon as more than one person knows you have gold stored at home, wow, your whole home storage plan is sunk, because now word can get out. And it's not just who they might tell, but who the person they told might tell. So you can get a little ripple effect going there, and that's exactly what happened to my dad's friend. So you want to be careful about knowing, and if it's too late, if more than one person you trust already knows you have gold in your home, well, you might want to rethink that and at least get some of it out of your home. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, and as far as considerations of nearby versus domestic versus overseas vaulted storage, different trade-offs that are available there?
Yes. I think the issue there is you want to consider doing that once you have more than a few ounces, and depending on what risks you see to the country you live in, having some type of either confiscation or capital controls, or even just a crisis where you want to get out of the country. That's where that really comes in handy. And the percentage or what portion of your assets you have out of the country, that's kind of different for everybody. But once you start accumulating, well, you want to have a portion of it somewhere else. If you need an escape hatch, boom, you've got some stored somewhere else. Or another option is Gold Silver just trademarked the word bullion jewelry. And we're one of the few dealers now that actually makes bullion jewelry that's pure gold. It's 22 karat or 24 karat, like a gold eagle or a gold buffalo, same purity, but now you can wear it and enjoy it, and you can walk through an airport with it, so without having to claim it as a financial asset. And it's beautiful. You can wear it, and it's not that much over spot. So that's another great option. If you want to travel or you need a bug out plan or something like that, have a little bit of your gold, not all of it, but some of it in a form and in a location that if you need a plan B, your plan B is set and in place if a crisis comes.
Well, Jeff, you've covered the bases we wanted to cover today about peak gold, how it looks like it's going to be irreversible over most of the next decade, and some of the intrinsic unchanging properties of gold, as well as storage options. So any last thoughts before we let you go for our viewers?
I think peak gold is a misleading term. I'm talking about new gold supply, and we may be at peak gold. The price is going to have to be a lot higher before we can get the lower grade stuff out, so that more inventions are made, so that, in terms of processing it and accessing it and things like that. But we are at a peak new supply of gold, probably for the next decade. Even if the gold price goes up the next day, this year it hits $2,000. That's not going to solve this problem. It'll solve the problem quicker, but it won't solve the problem. This is something that's coming whether you like it or not. New supply is going to go down. So there will be ramifications for that. How bad they'll be will depend on the price, will depend on demand, and things like that. So I guess my message is you want to be buying now while it's relatively cheap and while it's pretty accessible, because someday those things will probably change.
I've included your 2 articles that we referenced in this interview so that people can follow them up and read them in more detail. You have some nice graphs and charts and some written bullets in there. Is there any other place you'd like to direct people for more of to follow your writing?
Well, it's on just the goldsilver.com website, and then you'll see at the top there's a knowledge center, and you can scroll down to Gold Silver blog. And Mike Maloney, who owns the company, I work for him, and he has some great videos out. If you like videos, boy, he's really got some good material out on especially what's called Hidden Secrets of Money. And if you haven't seen that, boy, that's really worth watching. These are things that they've spent like $250,000 developing. So they're very professional. They're about an hour long, and they're very informative, very educational. And you watch that and see if you don't want to buy a little bit more gold and silver.
Well, we've been talking with Jeff Clark, a senior precious metals analyst at goldsilver.com. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us again here on Reluctant Preppers.
You're very welcome. We'll talk to you again soon.